It's the Cinema Night Podcast. Your old pals. We're still here. Sorry about last week. Sorry we didn't do a show. It's all my fault. I take full responsibility. I am a confused human being trying to make the best of his life. But it doesn't matter now because we're here. Your pals. Travis Roy, Eric Brash, and Michael Govey at Cinema Night Podcast. And today we're going to do 12 Monkeys after we just technically passed our anniversary, Travis. What a big moment in time.
Woo! Yeah. We took a little break. We don't take many breaks on this show. You know, we don't take a lot of vacations, but it ended up being one. You know, it's been so long since our last episode. I literally was able to get surgery and recover from it in the time between.
Wow. That's impressive.
I had this whole ham was like covered in big gauze and all that shit. I had carpal tunnel release. And now it's like pretty much over and done with. That's how long it's been between episodes, which is weird.
It's over and done with. It's over and done with. It's over.
I love it.
Eric Branch from Griffith, Indiana. Welcome in. Yeah, what's happening?
That reference. I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
You've seen the movie.
What was it?
The band, the
Bottle
Proclaimers.
Rocket. It's in Bottle Rocket, too, so that's why I always think of.
All right. Can I see Paint with Owen Wilson?
Terrible reviews. Not yet.
Here, Owen Wilson got a lifetime pass to be behind the scenes VIP, lifetime pass for all Rolling Stones shows in perpetuity, and then
blew it the first night.
Yeah,
blew it the first night. He just walked out on stage while they were playing.
Yeah, apparently Mick Jagger sent his security over to take it back from him. I'm like, wow, that's
he's done.
Tough.
He's done.
I feel like that's the venue's fault. Like, you know, put some bright lines down there, some tape, so people know where to stand. You know,
get a clue. What the hell?
It's not Owen's fault.
It's not your fault, Owen. We're doing 12 Monkeys today. This was Eric's choice, and we're going to dive right into it. A little bit different format. If you're a regular of the show, we're just going to get into it. We're going to talk about this movie, and then we're just going to go away. And if you're pissed about it, please let us know. cinema9pod@gmail.com. We really want to know if there's feedback about the show that you like or dislike. We want to hear from you. So cinema9pod@gmail.com. So, wow, this is weird. Okay, so 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys is a movie from 1995 that Eric chose. I don't know if I'm going to have a story on this one, but I'll start with you as we always do, Travis. We always go back in time. We try to remember the first time we saw this movie. This is a big hit in the 90s, I think. I'm pretty confident that's fair to say.
Yeah, it was a big hit. I mean, I was already a young Terry Gilliam fan because I've been a big fan of Brazil and Time Bandits, which we talked about before, and Fisher King I was a really big fan of. So I was like excited about this movie, but I'm confused, Eric. I need you to clarify something for me because we always talk about how you were, I don't know, kept in a pen or something like that, where you weren't allowed to see movies that were over G-rated.
Yeah.
But I remember distinctly being in Mrs. Merrill's science class with you and you telling me that this was a great movie that you saw in theaters and I should watch it.
Well, the ban was lifted in 1993.
Oh,
so yeah, I've been in the game for a couple of years.
At that point, okay, all right, yeah. So you saw it in theaters, and I didn't see it until it was on VHS. But I do remember you. I remember this being like we were already friends by that point because we became friends in 8th grade. But I do remember this being like an early movie that we bonded over.
Yeah, we missed out on a lot of Simons talking about Jeffrey Goins and fucking James Cole. That's for damn sure. A lot of projects missed out on. A lot of detentions.
Ooh.
But yeah, I remember the first time. I mean, like, I had seen 7 too, and like this was a no-brainer. This is like, oh, shit. Brad Pitt fan, and Terry. I've loved Fisher King, so this was immediate. This was getting the theater opening night, and I was fucking blown away. I just walked out of the theater stunned at what I had just seen.
Wow, young Eric Brancham, blown away. Did you stick around and see Blown Away as well, or
no?
Was that before this came out? Was that the year before?
A couple years before this, I think. Maybe the year before.
I saw Blown Away in the theater. I'm not kidding. That did happen.
It was a big hit. That movie was a big hit when it came out.
It was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's Jeff Bridges. It's a real deal.
A lot of U2.
A lot of U2, yes.
Bomb-making U2 tracks.
That's right. One bomb. Okay, that's enough of that. You can do that joke.
So dumb.
Yeah. Hey, look.
Fuck the bozos.
Listen, I never saw this movie. There was a lot of talk from everybody about it, and especially in our group of friends, lot of people talking about this movie, and I was just clueless on the references. I never saw this movie until about 2 years ago. So
Wow.
I don't have I wasn't sure it was for me at the time. I couldn't really get a vibe on it, and I would have watched it, I suppose. I just never sat down and watched it either, but there was a lot of talk. I didn't get to be a part of it, so I watched it for the first time a couple years ago. Now you've chosen it, Eric. So for me, this is like, this is like a newer movie to me. But I do remember, there was like crazy
Shocking.
Brad Pitt. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, this is the thing. When we do this show, we learn from each other about movies we've seen and we haven't seen. And
What's
sometimes
classic?
we get blown away.
One
Did I say blown
bomb!
away again?
Yeah. No, what's a classic to one of us won't always be a classic to the other. But like I remember seeing this when it came out and being blown away. Shit. Okay. And being amazed, startled, astounded by the fact that they had included the Tom Waits track "Earth Died Screaming." That was so wild to me. I'm like, oh, it's Tom Waits in a movie. Like, I didn't know anybody else even knew who he was because I was 13. I didn't understand that he was an extremely famous person already.
Isn't that funny when you're young?
That's how far it goes back. Yeah.
Yeah, Fargo. That's how Fargo it goes back. Brad Carroll's here in the live chat. He says, that movie is nuts, which is fitting since I had a vasectomy this afternoon. Thank you for sharing, Brad. Might have to pop this one on tonight as I ice down my marbles. That's a fine idea.
You take care of them marbles,
Aaron
buddy.
is here. Take care of them marbles, Brad. Chudpud's here. Last week, Chudpud went to Eastern State Penitentiary in Philly.
Yeah, wow.
In the hospital. Oh,
That's
the scene
so
is
cool.
filmed there from this movie, 12 Monkeys.
Yeah.
That's
This
fucking
movie.
awesome.
It's like I watched this in Creed last week, so I was just living in Philadelphia again. I got really homesick.
Okay.
With arms wide open.
Different-
All right, so
different Creed.
Oh, different Creed. Shit.
Shit, I never even thought of that Creed. Why did I ever think of that Creed?
Well, this is a Terry Gilliam film, as you guys mentioned. And what is the rating on IMDb? I'm going to say this is well liked. It's not an 8, but it's probably a 7.5.
That's exactly what I was thinking. 7.5.
This has got to be up there. I'm going to say solid 8.0, no bullshit, up there in the pantheon of greatest.
Whoa!
love this
Hey,
movie.
you nailed it! You
Did I?
nailed it,
Oh,
Eric.
fuck.
Well done.
Okay.
Wow.
8.0?
8.0 on the nose.
Okay.
Wow,
Most impressive.
most impressive.
All right. Well,
You don't see it, Mike?
no, I mean, I'm not revealing anything yet. I see why. It makes sense to me, but that's still a little harder than I thought it would have been, Travis, because we both agreed a 7.5 was good.
But again, like where it wasn't a classic to you, it was a classic to a generation of people. Not, I mean, they just really. I mean, this was one that I was not alone in. I think having the VHS on and regular repeating
wore that
viewing
motherfucker out.
in my teenage years. Yeah.
A beautiful black
Anybody,
VHS box.
Ooh,
Shot.
anybody watch the
Just
TV show? There was a TV show a few years ago, 12 Monkeys.
I did actually. I didn't catch the last season, and not because I didn't like it. I just kind of got distracted by life and just never went back to it. But I did really like it. It's a departure. But this is based on a French short film type thing, which is also based on something else. It makes sense for there to be permutations of this that are vastly different from one another. So it's worth checking out, that show.
I'm glad you said that, yeah, because it's in the opening credits based on a shit. I probably could look it up, but yes,
La
a short
Jetée?
French.
La Jetée.
Ah, thank
Very
you.
strange film.
La
It's
Jetée.
just like series of still images. It's not even like a movie. It's very strange. It's like 20 minutes of like still image. It's like it's a narrative, but it's like still images and stuff instead of like 24 frames per second film.
Huh. And then kind of in keeping with that, I was always really, God, I almost said blown away again. I was always really impressed by the soundtrack for this, the score for this. But I only did, on this recent viewing, realize that is Astor Piazzolla. I got to write the name down. He's one of the most famous tango composers of all time, apparently. And
Wow.
unfamiliar to me. I was always like, oh, I love this score. This Brad, whatever the fuck, is really talented.
Oh,
no,
dang.
it's world famous Astor Piazzolla. Piazzolla, something like that.
Did you get worn out by the every 5 seconds?
That's what I'm talking about.
Goddamn
Stop.
Accordion, man.
Yeah.
That's like the French tribute too, right? Is that what they're trying to do there? I kept thinking that the whole movie. So it's
Argentinian, I think.
Oh, accordions are Argentinian?
Well, the tango is.
No, but I'm thinking it's a cliche in the United States to think of France and Paris and accordion music plays. It's a stereotype that the U.S. has created of them.
That's a good point. I'm saying that Astor Piazzolla is Argentinian or was Argentinian.
Oh, that's great. Well, good for him. But yes. Yeah, you're right, Eric. It got on my nerves a little bit. Not gonna deny that. I can't lie about that.
Quite a bit.
But also, this movie is a dead heat on Rotten Tomatoes. It's tied 88 apiece for both sectors. The people who get paid to watch the films and the people who pay to watch the films. So how about that? 80%, that's fun. We don't always see a tie. That's very unusual. And critical acclaim. Let's see. Douglas Davidson of Elements... I like the name. I like alliteration. Douglas Davidson of Elements of Madness said, the fact that we, the audience, begin to question whether or not Cole is a time traveler at all, whether the apocalyptic future he claims to be from is real within the scope of the film, speaks to the talented screenwriter's direction and editing. Thanks, Dave Davidson. Appreciate that.
Okay, did I ask what your name is? Or did I ask if you were a man?
Japan 4. Jonathan Rosenbaum of the Chicago Reader. While all of Gilliam's movies are worth seeing, there's a fair amount of his designer grimness here mixed in with the cabaret comedy. Is this the most Gilliam movie of all Gilliam movies? I'm not sure. It's close. It's got to be close.
No.
I think it's close.
Not even close.
Not even close. It's so much more accessible. The most Gilliam movie of all time.
Well, I think what we're saying when I say that is, it's like really Gilliamed up in the way he likes to Gilliam things, which makes sense in my brain. But
Baron Munchausen.
Munchausen has to be, yeah. So Gilliam.
Yeah. Way Gilliam.
Okay, well, we can disagree.
Or Brazil. Brazil is even. I mean, this is more. This is kind of accessible still. This is after Fisher King, and they're trying to make a Hollywood director out of him.
Yeah, he's kind of like a director for hire even after Munchausen, which tanked. Even Fisher King was kind of brought to him, and he's like, all right, I'll put my spin on it. And then this toiled around forever until, he decided to take a look at it and eventually filmed it. So it really doesn't have his imprints on it since its inception, which is kind of odd for Gilliam. That's when things started to get a little different for him. Canceled now, of course, but this was prime Gilliam.
And man, and isn't he really carrying on a lot of the themes from Fisher King in this, especially all that like homeless kind of like surrealism that he in Fisher King.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Sure. I mean, there's that guy who always shows up every once in a while. Yeah.
Tom Waits. We're talking Tom Waits again.
I don't think it's Tom Waits.
Further.
No, I'm talking about Bob.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob.
Jesus. All right, wait. I got to finish these. How about, we never hear from Arkansas on this show. How about Philip Martin from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette? Less an essay on the nature of madness than a crazy person's poem. It is wild and beautiful and deeply disturbing all at once. All right.
He liked it.
Well, I think that's a valid breakdown from Arkansas. Thanks, Arkansas. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone, Bruce Willis, in an eruptive performance of startling emotional intensity, stars as Cole, a prisoner tagged for an experiment that may get him killed. Thank you, Peter. This is right after Color of Night. We saw his dong in the pool. That was a year before this. So that was kind of a low point for him.
Are any of the reviewers complaining that they're misled that he's not a Terminator because despite the red eye on the cover box?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So annoying.
Yep.
Hey, Desson Thompson. All right. Desson Thompson's here.
Hey, fella.
In 2001, Desson said the following. Willis and Pitt's performances, Gilliam's atmospherics, and an exhilarating momentum easily outweigh such trifling flaws.
Ooh. Such as?
Yeah, I wish we could find out.
I have to read the rest of the review, I guess.
You are. So there it is. Yeah, I mean, So you've got two guys. Bruce Willis is big. I mean, Pulp Fiction was a year before. Bruce Willis is at his height here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
pretty much.
And Brad Pitt's on the scene now. Seven came out the same year, but he's, Legends of the Fall year before that. He's definitely not quite at his height, but he's known. He's Brad Pitt. Yeah. And then there's Madeline Stowe, who she always reminds me of somebody from Drama Club for some reason. I don't know why. Whenever I see her, she reminds me of like a Sarah Hill or like I don't know, somebody, maybe not quite there. I can see her face and it reminds me of somebody from drama in high school, and I just cannot let that go. But she's kind of underrated.
I love Madeline Stowe so much. Most beautiful eyes I've ever seen in an actor of all. The darkest, most beautiful eyes I've ever seen. I kind of hear what you're saying. She's got kind of like that robot-y drama kid voice. You know what I mean? Her intonation's very kind of like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but solid. Coming out of Last of the Mohicans and Unlawful Entry with Ray Liotta and Kurt Russell.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Skin knows that one.
Tell me about it.
She's got big Anne Hathaway vibes, I feel like.
Ah, that's just what I was thinking. But Thank you.
Right?
Thank
like you. that they come from the same school of drama.
Yes. Yeah. What I meant that is like she's not a bad actress. Like she's just like she's there. She's like Anne Hathaway. Exactly. She's a drama kid. She lives for it. She's ready for any part.
Yes. Yeah. You can feel that in her performance, I guess. But she was a real, I think, kind of an underrated icon of the early 90s when she really had that moment when she was starring and stuff. Like, what was that one? Blind or whatever? She was like a blind woman. Blink. Yeah, I loved Blink when I was a kid. I thought Blink was amazing.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But, there was a minute there where she was, routine, regular, big kind of star. And then I feel like she kind of faded off around after this. I don't know if there was many big ones after this one.
I couldn't name one. I couldn't name any.
Yeah, I don't know where
Aerosmith, big ones?
Get a Grip. That was this year.
Get a Grip was 93, but anyways,
this was 90. Oh, this was 95.
Yeah, that's okay. We're moving into 92, still without a room, without a view. Anyways, so yeah, Madeline Stowe is underappreciated. I would say that you're right. This might be you're right. This might be the end of her run, I guess, because she never really was as big as she was in the 90s, right?
No, it was, like a lot of actors, kind of like they have like their years where they're really big and then they just sort of fade off. Although if she's still working, I wouldn't mind seeing her again. She's always talented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she really trails off in the 2000s, hardly does anything, and then really does even less, and then suddenly reappears in a TV show called Revenge from 2011 to 2015, which I've never heard of. But
that was big. I remember it was a network show. It was big when it came out. It was like
she was in the TV show too, 12 Monkeys. She was on one episode of 12 Monkeys, the TV show, playing Lillian in 2016.
Oh, that's so funny. I guess I must have missed that one. It must be in the last season, or I don't remember it. But I feel like that would have stuck out to me.
Yeah, clearly it would have. She was also in We Were Soldiers. That's the last big movie, I guess. That was 20 years ago.
Soldiers.
Sorry. The General's Daughter. Oh, God. It got a little bogus for Madeline Stowe, but that's okay. So, this is a Gilliam movie. Madeline Stowe's there. Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, Tom Waits is farting around. You got the same. I had the same setup for me, guys. Thinking we did Time Bandits on this show, which you can go back and check out the Time Bandits episode anytime you want on YouTube or in podcast form. To me, it was the same setup in a way with these doctors and Bruce Willis. There's like these check-ins where they're checking in with him. He goes back into his world. He comes out of his world. And then with Time Bandits, you had like the scumbag who runs everything with his minions next to him. And like we go into the world, we come out of it again. I felt like it was the exact same setup in that way. I couldn't get it out of my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think Terry Gilliam really likes asylums, again, with Fisher King. He likes asylums. He likes dirty streets. He likes. Was it you, Mike, that in our text thread that called it Dutch Angle the movie? That was pretty funny.
Pretty much.
There's some very specific stylistic moves and thematic choices that the man made, particularly in this era. I feel like after because the next movie he did after this was Fear and Loathing, which I think kind of took him in a different direction, which he needed to go in. I think he was kind of starting. I mean, don't get me wrong. This movie is well directed, but it is like you can feel that this is, this is like what is it? The Blue Door and Georgia O'Keeffe, right? Like you kind of get the sense like he's in a vibe, he's in a mode here.
Yes, in another movie we did, it reminded me of fucking Ghost Dog with the cartoons. How many cartoons? Did you notice how many cartoons on the television we saw in and out? It was the same setup.
Oh,
it freaked me out.
Cartoon? Okay.
There's several cartoons in this movie where when he gets into the asylum for the first time and there's up close of cartoon hijinks, and it immediately made me think of Ghost Dog. So,
well, there's so much, there's so many moments where Brad Pitt gets to like preempt Tyler Durden in this movie. There's so much anti-consumerism and anti-television. TV is a place where you can like see animal cruelty and very disturbing images, and it's it's where the news is being like, we're getting fed news that isn't reality, and there's a lot of that going on in the movie, I think.
Yeah, there's jump scares from cartoons. It's stupid.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I was really surprised on this latest viewing that I was kind of irritated by Brad Pitt's performance. Am I alone here?
Wow.
Nope. I'm with you a little bit.
Irritating.
I feel like that. I mean, where have we seen Brad Pitt let loose like this before? Maybe California, a little tiny bit, tiny bit. California with the K, right? Like, I feel like this is one of the first times where someone really just wound him up and let him loose and said, "You be crazy," and he went, "Oh, I get to just completely go ape shit with my brown painted fucking weird ass eye contact things, which are, they don't like, that works on VHS, it doesn't work on HD,
Man.
Yeah, there is a part of it where I see what you're saying, Eric, and I was like, I don't want to be overly critical here. Maybe I am, but at the same time, it's such a unique performance to his career because he, like you said, Travis, he doesn't. You think about all the roles he's ever done. He's done a lot of great work, but it doesn't deviate a ton from kind of like he's the handsome, stoic guy. I mean, Benjamin Button, he clearly was not, but generally, that's what I'm saying. Those are outliers to his career for the most part. And I don't want to be too harsh on him, but there were moments I was like, is this good? Is this worth all? Because it gets so much praise. It's an 8.0 movie. Like, it's a big deal.
I mean, it's a fantastic performance. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of it is due to the horrible ADR on almost all of his lines in the hospital.
Yeah,
like whenever he shouts, it's like, "Are you serious with this ADR?" It's really bad.
Again, when the whole sequence during the party,
and he's like, "Colonics for everyone." It's like, oh my god, that's cringeworthy.
Yeah, you're right about that. Weak
that
ADR
might be the only hang up.
I will say the circle beds is cool though. There's a lot of hand. Oh yeah, there's
a lot of gesturing, and that kind of business going on with them. But it is a really fun and memorable performance, and I've always really liked it. Is it maybe a little more over the top than I remembered? Yeah, okay, sure, but a little campy. But I think it fits in this movie.
Also, Steampunk MD. That's what I named all those doctors. Their whole practice. So. Yeah, it's a new TV show coming out. But also, the way they had the beds in a circular shape in that room in the asylum, I thought that was a great idea. That makes a lot of sense because that way you got no obstructions and you can keep an eye on everybody. It means nothing to the movie and nobody else cares. But I thought
Panopticon, I'm into it.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. I always thought it was a good idea for a classroom too. You get to have everybody facing each other. I dig it. Although you're sleeping, maybe you don't want to be looking.
I don't.
How many times does Bruce Willis drool in this movie?
At least three.
At least three. Okay.
The thing is, and I haven't seen this in about maybe 10 years or so, and every time I watch this movie, I'm struck just how good Bruce Willis is. And this is 1995, and you got to think. This is a guy that is like in his prime. Like this is a kind of a big risk. Like he's taking all of his vanity and pushing it aside completely to the extreme, and he's just emoting. Like the scene in the car where he's crying with the radio. Yeah. I mean, I bet you a lot of these A-list hunks just would not go there.
I'm going to say right now, this is the performance of his career. This is the best performance I think he ever did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really think so. I mean, he went all out too in a way that works. It's not over the top.
It's not striking
believable.
distance.
It's no striking distance. It's no
Mercury Rising.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Mercury Rising.
Hudson Hawk? What was that one? Something about a
The
hawk
Adventures
or
of
Hudson?
Hudson. That's a good movie, man.
Dang.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm being a little harsh on that one.
Yeah, leave that
No,
one
you're
alone.
right. You're right, guys. He's really good in this movie. That's exactly the same response I had. I was like, oh, wow. I was surprised because I'd only seen this once and it was only a couple years ago, so it's not burned in my memory. That what you just talked about, Eric, with the radio, and he does that stuff and he's holding Metal and Stowe hostage and making her drive to Philadelphia, and he's having all these moments with these songs and music. And actually, it also really, I think this movie does a really excellent job of letting you know as a viewer, or not just letting you know, but giving you a sense of how cherished it is to be in this diseased world where the air and the sunshine, like Bruce, his character is so grateful for all of it. And it really puts us in a world now in 2023 where we are 20 plus years after this movie, almost 30 years later, where it seems a little bit more like it kind of hit me. I was like, oh my God, this is kind of frightening because of where we're going these days with the world climate, I guess to say is one example. And then just having a pandemic that happened in real life. It was really kind of hit me hard. And I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Travis?
I do think, I think that he does great work here. I think that I've got some critiques though that I think that are more story critiques than acting critiques, but there's a few things that happen in this movie. I'm like, why the fuck is this going on?
Okay,
when he comes back the second time to kidnap her, he's like covered his face and he's talking like this. Like, why are you talking like this? Why are you covering your face? It doesn't make any sense because he literally, there's no point to it. We know who it is, and he reveals himself to her within moments. It's really weird. Yeah. And then there's also this moment where you're kind of like, wait, is he about to they're kind of like kissing, they're outside almost, they're like really close, and you're like, oh shit, wait a minute, he's like grabbing her. Is he gonna fucking rape her? And then you're like, wait a minute, and then you think that she might be dead because we get some news radio.
What happened there? That's stupid. It's so stupid.
What are these dodges and fakes that are happening with this plot here? I don't like
what happened there specifically in that moment that you just talked about, the second part.
They he put her in the trunk of the car, and that was it.
And then a body was found though later.
It just so happened that some other woman was found, and they thought maybe it was Rayleigh.
I was lost. I was lost in that part. I truly was. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Is this going to come back later? And it didn't.
No. It's like all in the span of like 3 minutes. She's back to normal, drinking coffee in her apartment, and then we got this mutilated body. Christopher Maloney blows in this big report. It's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Playing a cop in the 90s.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, who'd have thought? It's a little weird.
I'm with you, Travis. Yeah, I was really confused, and it never got fixed. So I was left
speaking of that, like Mike, speaking of confusion, like we're watching this at 15, Travis and I, like, I guess like we think we get it, but like when you watch it at 40, probably 40 a couple years ago, Mike, do you like get it immediately? Is there no questions here or what?
No, I was still confused. It was confusing for me. It's one of those Total Recall style things where I cannot make any more sense of it, even with 25 more years of experience than you guys had. That's just me, though.
I can tell you that, like, watching it the other night, it probably been 15 years or so since I watched it.
Yeah.
Watching it the other night, I remember like one of the things that stuck out to me is as a kid, I never even caught that I'm supposed to think that maybe it's in his head and maybe it's like that whole thing that's so like obvious to me now. And there's even a moment when it pivots where she comes to understand that he is a time when we in the audience, where Rayleigh and the audience come to understand that he really is a time traveler. It's really well done, but I didn't grasp it. I just didn't fucking grasp it. And since I watched it over and over again, you did the same thing.
It never occurred to me because we follow the story through him and everything just seems factual and matter of fact. Is he's traveling through time? That's all there is to it. I mean, you could probably structure it differently and make that come across a little bit more. But for me, there was no doubt about it. So there was no big surprise there. It was cool when she finds the bullet. Very, very cool. But it wasn't like a, oh shit, he's telling the truth moment, which it maybe could have been.
Yeah,
it was
maybe
too confusing for me as a newcomer. I had no clue. I just couldn't get. I was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm trying to follow all this.
Oh, really? I also never picked up until this viewing the importance of Jones being on the plane at the end and being like, I'm in insurance. I just never. I was like, who's Jones? I don't know. I didn't realize it was her.
Yeah,
and then when I did, I didn't realize the importance of it.
No,
she was one of the steampunk MDs, right?
She's one of the steampunk MDs, and she's gonna actually be able to get the, So while he could, while things played out for Cole the way that it had to, the way it always had, she now is going to be able to at least get that core form of the virus, whatever they supposedly needed.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's clear this for the audience and for myself too, for my own edification. So he ended up really being a time traveler. It wasn't in his mind.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Okay, so I was. That's what I say. I was unsure. I really started to be confused. By the time they get to the airport, after we've seen that goddamn scene like 5 times in the movie with the same music and the same setup with the blonde wigs, I'm like, okay, that was the first thing that annoyed me actually the most by just turning the movie on. I'm like, oh fuck, I remember this. This scene comes through like 8 times. Yeah, but it's like I know it's a reality because I saw it one time before. But
yeah, it's the worst kind of dream sequence because you can't tell if it's reality or a dream.
Exactly. So I was really confused. But once they get to the airport and his buddy Jose shows up again and is like, dude, this is for real. I'm like, oh, shit. So, because at that moment, I really didn't know if it was in his mind or if it was a time traveling situation. But to be clear, for people who've seen the movie, this is a time traveling situation.
Yeah, all the World War I sequence stuff was supposed to be the big tip off to that because we get the like Eric referenced the bullet getting dated to the 100-year-old bullet that comes out of his flesh, and then also we get that picture of him, going after Jose in the book. So it's confirmation.
But that's what pisses me off about what you brought up earlier, Travis. That section of the film where it's handled so poorly when Maloney is on the scene all of a sudden. That's why I got so confused, really, because I was like, oh, shit, we went to World War I. It's obvious he's in a trench. Trench foots everywhere. He's in World War I when he first goes there. But then the bullet stuff, I was like, wait a minute. What are they trying to tell me? And I don't need my stuff spoon-fed. You guys know I don't want everything spoon-fed. But the story was told so poorly to me that I was just left dumbfounded, unsure of what was happening.
It's very strange because the first 20 minutes, he goes to collect a sample and it's kind of a big detour because they send him to the wrong time and that's why he's at the hospital. And it's just like a mistake by the doctors that he went back there. It's mostly just to give us a lot of information about the story. And then I'm watching it a few days ago and I'm like, well, shit, I don't know if I really put that together. What exactly does Cole tell Brad Pitt that makes him want to free monkeys? I remember him saying that you should wipe out the human race, but why did they say that he put that thought into his brain to let loose all the animals?
So the conversation takes place when they're watching the monkey die through animal cruelty from science, and Cole is making the point that he's back in time for it, and because he's worried about what's going to happen, but he becomes convinced that he thinks that he's given Goines the idea to to unleash the virus, but in fact he's given Goines, or Goines got the idea in that period to free the monkeys. But you're right though, because Goines does remember the whole, what he actually was talking about, because when he confronts him at the party, he's talking about viruses and oh, you had that idea and all that kind of stuff, which feels like scriptural misdirection, and that doesn't quite compute, right?
I mean, there's a lot of this movie is a lot of fun, but we see a picture of Goines' father in the future, as if the doctors know him and have already tied this virus to him, and yet they don't know where to trace it to.
Well, it comes from his lab, so it would be traced to him, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So why can't they just go back there and make sure that it doesn't get out? I mean, I don't understand why they can't fix it.
Go back and kill Goines before he founds the. I don't know.
Yeah.
See,
This is the problem with time travel movies. It's all the shit with the Avengers and every time travel movie ever. It's a dangerous place to be in because you can start tearing it apart. So let's just not even do it. Let's just focus on whether it's a good movie or not, and the acting's good or not, because that whole section of it is just going to cause us endless time loops. It really is.
True.
By the way, Christopher Plummer is hardly in this movie, and I was expecting more of him for some reason, but he's really, it's amazing that he was in this movie because he's not in it much, really. He's such a respected, longtime, legendary actor. I thought it was cool that he was in it. I wondered if more stuff got cut out, too.
I wouldn't be surprised if more had been cut out of him. That's a good guess. But also, you look at his IMDb. That man just worked constantly. I mean, he'd be like starring in one movie, like in the main cast, and then immediately after, like pick something up where he's popped in 2 or 3 scenes, then go on. He always worked.
Yeah.
Eric Jumpbud said that.
Here we go.
Sorry. 2 weeks ago, I watched this without prompting. Wow. He enjoyed it. I actually said out loud, I am Jack's worldview. Good call, Travis.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Plummer also has that look where you kind of would believe that he's going to be like the guy that unleashes it. I think that's probably why they casted him a lot. You could totally buy him as being
Not once you saw David Morse's orange hair with the ponytail. That was the real giveaway. It's like, okay. He's talking about Christ. He's got orange hair and a ponytail. End of story. David Morse never looked more out of his element in this role than he did in this role. This is not a David Morse role at all to me.
It's a very different role for him. He was working before this. He'd done like Indian Runner or
Crossing Guard was that year too.
Yeah, so he was working.
Seen elsewhere.
So I feel like it should have been someone maybe a little less known, because you watch the movie and I don't know, maybe it wasn't obvious to me it's so far back in my memory it's hard to remember how I first felt about it. But you watch it now, it seems really obvious. Like, well, he's the creep, he's the bad guy, he's the doomsday guy.
No,
right?
me and my wife call David Morse kind eyes. We always have, because he's got those sweet, kind eyes.
Yeah,
and I think that's the same thing. Like, he just looks like this sweet guy. But hell no.
No,
I'm with Travis.
Listen to him. Yeah, okay, he's got kind eyes, but listen to what he's saying.
Yeah, especially when he meets Riley at the book signing.
Yeah,
fucking orange hair, the ponytails. It's just everything about him. It's to me, it's not a very Morsian performance. I mean, it's Morsian. He's doing his thing, but he's the kind of guy who's always like telling people what to do. He's not like a guy who would be afraid of anybody. And I suppose he's not afraid of anybody in this role, but I don't know. I don't think Green Mile. I think
Negotiator.
Proof of Life. The Negotiator. Yes, exactly.
Contact.
He's a fucking SWAT commander. Yeah, exactly. He's always the dad or a SWAT commander. He's in charge. Nobody's going to be fearful of him. He's running shit 24/7. That's David Morse.
So it's a little bit against type, which isn't a terrible call or anything.
No!
I just think it's really obvious that he's the one to look out for.
They should have gave him orange hair. That was stupid. That's my big beef. I know Terry Gilliam's got to get all Gilliamed, but that should just had a regular brown hair or something. Keep that simple. It's dead giveaway.
Travis, you lived in Philadelphia for many years. Would it be that easy for them to immediately arrive in Philadelphia and automatically find the 12 Monkeys lair in like 5 minutes?
Oh, yeah, it's just in Kensington. I mean, Philadelphia's not big. It's really not.
What kind of information do they have, though?
Did
he have information?
Yeah, they were in the car. He looked at like a building, and the 12 Monkeys sign was like behind some newspapers. And then like he literally followed a paint trail to get to their headquarters. A paint trail.
That was convenient. That was very, very convenient. I will say it's weird watching the movie because like as I'm watching it this time, I'm like, oh, that's the Wanamaker. That's the Wanamaker building. That's where Macy's is. The whole where he does the shopping, where they get the clothes, but he has like the flashback where he'd seen the thing fly. That's where I shopped for my clothes.
No
the
way.
Whole time I lived there.
Oh,
yeah. It was weird.
You know what's crazy? We haven't brought up at all, guys. In this. Again, another movie connection for me. 3 movie connections. Very weird. This is just like the movie that came out the same year with Cable Guy with the Ricky Newman Kid in the Well shit. It reminded me of Ben Stiller character on trial for his life in Cable Guy. We're getting constant updates on TV about the trial of the century. And it made me think of that. Again, this Ricky Newman, this damn kid in the well, which didn't end up meaning shit. Yeah, the Sweet Brothers. Thank you. Thank you.
Sam Stan Sweet. Yeah, like every like 5 minutes they cut to the radio station. All the cast members shut up and listen to it.
That monkey's gonna eat that roast beef sandwich.
Yeah. Also, I mean, Do you think a lot of people probably were like, oh, he's probably hiding in a barn? It was in a rural area. Like, it didn't seem like that big of a coincidence. Like, could he be on the roof of a school? And it'd be like, whoa, how could you possibly have known that?
It happened in real life. Remember that kid in the balloon like 10 years ago?
It. Yeah,
that was a hoax. It totally happened. So
great hoax.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well. You guys want to do this short? I think we're done.
I'm good. I wanted. I think the Bozo music was annoying, and let's see.
That bear would have ate the shit out of Cole. There was nothing to eat there.
It's a hungry bear, right?
That beetle would have been underground or inside of a tree or something. Not crawl around the fucking snow. Beetles don't crawl in snow.
Shit.
Volunteering sucks. I learned that. Don't volunteer. It's not really volunteering. Why is volunteering hell? Yeah, why are they
future sucks?
Yeah, it's one thing if like you're underground because there's a virus, but it's another thing that you're turned into a totalitarian society where everyone's locked down. That's not explained at all, Travis. You're right.
No, you're right. Why are they in prison?
Yeah. This is best for everyone. No, it's not even explained that way.
See-through plastic raincoats are the uniforms.
Dang, man. Oh, fuck. Great production design.
Very distinct. Yeah.
Like, especially in the future, there's like I timed it. There's like a 2-second shot of like when he's getting his gear on. It's like lasts like 2 seconds, and like it's immaculately set dressed with stuff I've never seen before in like a quote unquote future movie. Just awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good call. You're right. It's very, very, very well done. All the set design and the costuming and everything. It's very unique. Although at the same time, it's not unique like you already said earlier. It's very Gilliam-like, but it's his thing. It's what he likes to do. He likes to get weird with it and go in different directions. Steampunk, futuristic nightmares, homeless disasters, all rolled into one.
I got a question. How long do you think it would take to remove your teeth and someone else's with a switchblade?
Oh yeah.
How's that gonna go?
About that guy and his.
And is that a thing you can do? Can you just pop out your teeth and someone else's teeth and just shove them into the roots? Is that the way things work? You just shove them in there and they stay in there. No. You can talk and eat.
I watched Schindler's List recently. Huh? They took his tooth out, and that was I watched Schindler's List like a week ago, and they take his gold tooth out, and it was like a real hardcore process. So I think Schindler's List was much more realistic when it comes to removing teeth than this movie was. I'm not even talking about I'm talking about taking someone else's tooth and shoving it in your tooth hole. Like, how is that going to work? Oh no, that did he do that? I thought he just ripped out his own. I didn't know that we get a shot of the tooth in there. No, he's like some fucking crazy dentist. Remember? Like isn't that what's happening? He rips it out. He takes out his tooth and he takes out the fucking pimp.
I thought the pimp was just fucking scared at seeing him rip out his own tooth.
That's what I thought too. I thought he didn't touch the guy. He only hurt himself. Oh, then why does he have teeth still for the rest of the movie?
Molar?
Because it's the one Keith tooth. I thought it was the one Keith tooth that he had to rip out. It wasn't all the teeth.
But Bob's showed it was the two front teeth. Right? It's in the tooth.
Well, look what we're doing here. We're
scraping the barrel.
We got
Either way, he was not in unbearable pain for the rest of the movie. That's for damn sure.
No, he had bigger fish to fry. So
that's for sure. Have you ever extracted a tooth with a switchblade?
No, I've had it done. It takes like 3 hours of pulling and tugging. Yeah, fucking nightmare.
Yeah, and extracting your own tooth is brutal. You don't want anybody else to do it, let alone you're going to do it yourself. That's off the world, other world ridiculously absurd.
Shit.
Well, all right. Well, Eric, you picked this movie. You want to lead us off on 12 Monkeys? Does it hold up or not?
When I finished watching it last week, I had this kind of weird feeling. It was sometimes you get this feeling when you've seen a movie just so many fucking times that you're just like nonplussed when it ends. I'm kind of sorry to say I was like, I kind of like I've seen it and it's did its thing and I'm ready to move on. Like it's a truly a work of technical and creative genius. I love this script purely by Dave Peoples, one of the great screenwriters, Blade Runner, Unforgiven, and Terry Gilliam pretty much followed it to the T. So this screenplay, especially when it comes to time travel movies, is wholly original for so many reasons, not the least of which the fact that it's It's not a movie where someone has to go save humanity. It's said in a very maudlin, affecting way that this is not going to change anything, that humanity is fucked. And that's why when we talk about this sentimentalism of the present and appreciation for what we have, strikes me in a big way, even still when I watch this movie. There's a lot of sweet moments about, life and existence and appreciating what we have, not taking things for granted. But yeah, I mean, it's a fucking awesome movie. There's no doubt about it, man. Performances are off the chart. Yeah, that's fucking song every 5 minutes. Whew. But all in all, man, it's a fucking classic. Holds up completely.
Oh, what a day. I'll go next since I'm the newbie, and then we'll bookend it with the other long-timer. It's a fun movie, sort of, but it's not really that fun. It's not fun at all, actually. No, I'm saying that out loud.
It's not fun.
It's not fun. It's not my type of movie exactly. It's sci-fi bizarro, like not really a comedy, but some stuff's supposed to be funnier than maybe it ends up being or should be or wants to be. I love Terry Gilliam. I mean, that says it all. And I really just got confused by some of the shit that went down in the movie, which maybe that doesn't matter, because what is the point of this film? Do I really need to have a point? Do I have to watch 12 Monkeys and be like, okay, so now I understand A, B, and C? Or is it an entertainment experience that takes me away from my life for an hour and a half to 2 hours? These are questions that other people will ask themselves. I ask that myself. And when I think of this movie, I just don't get that excited. Bruce Willis is incredible. Like Travis said, it really could be his best performance. It really could be. It's up there for sure. It's outstanding. And I want to give him full credit for that. Brad Pitt's whatever. It's Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt has the greatest life ever. So I don't like giving a guy who has the best life in the world already more accolades. He's rock solid in this film. It's fine. It's a little bit goofy for me, but he's supposed to be off his rocker. But at the same time, off his rocker is an outdated term, because with mental health disorders, we have real defined terms that we put on things. So what is his issue exactly? That's another thing too. This movie dives into the world of asylums and people who are mentally ill. We get mentally divergent. That's used several times, but that's about it. And okay, I guess it's focus of the film is not about mental illness, but is it? It kind of tries to go down that road to make you think one thing and then think another.
Yep.
So it's a mixed bag, but it certainly wasn't. It wasn't awful, and it wasn't like a nightmare for me to watch by any means. It was pretty entertaining. I think Madeline Stowe's a lot of fun. I like seeing her in movies, so I put all that together. I'll give it a holds up. It's not like a ringing, exciting endorsement, but it holds up. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, to kind of continue your theme there a little bit where you were on, I think Gilliam, he really respects and wants to celebrate the contributions that the mentally ill and the homeless can make to society, to life. Like they're important to him in his movies, and they're important in his plots, and I like that. I've always really liked that. Sometimes I think he kind of mystifies them a little bit and maybe kind of turns them into like these mystical kind of things, almost like you're borderline exploitive then. But it is as a movie, it's incredibly, it's got such a specific look. And for me personally, growing up with it, I mean, like Eric, I just watched this so many times that it's just, there's a reason why I hadn't watched it in a long time. I pretty much got it in the bones. I've got it understood. Although, that said, I talked about how I understood the structure of the movie a lot better this time than I ever did before. And that last bit about Joan. So I did get some new things out of it. So I'm glad that I revisited. That said, yeah, it is a very maudlin film. It is a bit of a bummer. And something of a 90s classic, though. And I'm glad to have watched it again. I think it absolutely holds up.
There you go.
Hey, look at that. A clean sweep for 12 Monkeys. Not the TV show, the film from 1995, directed by Terry Gilliam. Okay, cinemaandipod@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of today's episode. We did something different, but we're not even going to tell you what it is. We're going to see if you could figure it out on your own. Let us know. cinemaandipod@gmail.com. Who's up next week? Is it my turn? I'm lost.
Yeah, it's you.
Okay, all right. I was just double checking because I'm a fool. So for next week, the last time I picked a movie, I had it down between two, but we went back to 95 here, so I don't know if I want to get us out of the 90s or not. I kind of feel like maybe I do. I always like to, go in a different direction from where we were. And, but then I don't want to go like all the way to now because I did end of the tour on my last pick. So maybe we should go back to the 80s, But we don't do enough 80s movies on this show anyways. Isn't that true?
We just did 81, the episode before last.
Yeah, that's true.
Or, the last episode was My Dinner with Andre, 1981.
Oh, yeah. For some reason I don't think of that as an 80s movie, even though literally it is an 80s
Timeless.
movie.
What does your heart
or
tell
80,
you, Mike?
1980 it came out, right?
What is my heart? Oh, you know what my heart tells me? Yeah, you know what? I've always wanted to do a movie like this. I don't think we've done one yet. I'm pretty sure we haven't. So I'm going to pick, I guess I'd have to be stuck in the 90s to do it. Yeah, I don't think there's any way out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're stuck in the 90s. So it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Fine, pal.
I want to do parody film. They don't do those anymore. They used to do them all the time, like Scary Movie, those types of movies. I don't think we've done any of those yet at all. Like I'm pretty sure we haven't. I have to double check our library, but
no, we have not.
I wanted to pick a film that is the satire, the parody of other movies. It got way off the tracks with I don't know. I think they stopped doing them, but they were doing they weren't even being clever about it. It was called Disaster Movie or something 10 years ago. It just got stupid. But for me, let's go back to a time when parody movies were done right. I want to do Hot Shots Part 2. Not 1. We're going to go to 2. Hot Shots Part 2.
Shots Part 2.
Hot Shots Part 2.
Wild card. All right.
Our first sequel.
Nope. That's not true. We did Thor Ragnarok. Me and Mike did.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah. How could you forget that one, Eric? I'm stunned you forgot that one.
I didn't do the episode. Fuck. Man,
Yeah.
You're right. Hot Shots Part 2. It's been a long time.
Hot
I watched
Shots
this a
Part
million
2.
times. Okay.
Takes me back. I have
Fucking
pneumonia.
wild card.
19. Yeah, I mean these are a genre of films. They were very popular once upon a time. So I'm going to take it back to that. 1991. I think it was the year after Hot Shots 1 or 92. Either way, we'll do that next week. Hot Shots Part 2. I have to do it like that. You can't say Part 2. And that's the show. We want to thank you guys for watching. Eric, Travis, Michael. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy your lives. We'll catch you next time.
I don't really come from outer space.
All in good fun. All in good